Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it so very much. Welcome. My name is Aiden. I am so happy that you are here. It's been a while since I've done a 30 and 30. It's been maybe a year. Anyway, it's been a bit, and I decided that since I was doing a challenge on Instagram, that this would be a perfect time to actually like sit down and work through and do another 30 and 30, because gosh knows that I have enough fragrances for several of these. If you haven't watched a 30 and 30 before, I will have a playlist linked up above so you can watch all of them. There are several of them that I have done over the few years that I have been here on YouTube. So what I do is I take 30 different perfumes and I wear each one of them for one day. And I write down my notes on what I thought of the fragrance, how long it lasted, and of course, I don't know like if other people can smell this or not, because I'm not around other people because of the world that we are in right now. So I did wear each fragrance for a day, and I will give you my thoughts on each one of them. I will also tell you I did the Instagram challenge by Eve Spider Smells, and I have those all here on my iPad. So I will tell you what they all are. There was a couple that I couldn't find ones that I hadn't talked about already in the 30 and 30, so I might glance over those, and I don't have those bottles with me. I did wear them, and you can look on my Instagram. The link is down below, so you can see all of them that I wore. There's a few that I skipped over, so I do have 30. I added a few at the end as well. So I'll tell you what the category was that I wore it for, tell you what notes that I noticed from it, and then I usually have the notes listed here. I'm going to try to do that. It is Wednesday, and I'm going to put this up Friday, so if I have enough time to edit all of those notes in, I will. If not, they will be listed all down below, and all of the perfumes will be listed down below with timestamps as well. That was a long intro. So we're going to start. The first challenge was a perfume that cheers you up. And I thought that I hadn't talked about this one, but I did. So I had started with Prada Candy Gloss. I'm not going to talk about that because I've already talked about it. So the first one we're going to talk about today is a perfume you used to dislike but now love. So one that I used to not really like was Gucci Guilty. I thought it was way too strong. Now, granted, I don't have the Eau de Parfum, the EDP, I have the EDT, and I do really like this. This has become a fragrance that I've worn quite a bit. I mean, you can tell that I have a decent sized stint in it for only having it maybe 6 months or so. So I find this fragrance to be really bright, really fresh, invigorating. It lasted about 4 to 6 hours on my skin. I don't mind if fragrances don't have like super longevity because I tend to reapply and change out my fragrances throughout the day. Like I put one on and then I'll put on another one later on in the day. But this is really pretty. It has some darkness to it. It's not a heavy fragrance by any means, but it does have a little bit more depth than just like a fruity, fresh fragrance. It does have those fruit notes in it too. So this is the first one, Gucci Guilty EDT. The next one was a favorite from a female-owned brand or perfumer. I had struggled with this one a little bit because I don't know, like, ones that are actually owned by a female, like usually they're owned by a conglomerate. Even Jo Malone isn't owned by Jo Malone. It's owned by, I think, Estee Lauder. So I was trying to look up perfumes by each perfume and trying to look at who was the perfumer, and that took a while, so I just kind of defaulted to one that is fairly new to my collection. That is Shay and Blue White Peaches. Now this bottle is a little more plain than some of the other ones. This is I love the smell of this one. I said it smells so good, true to the name. It does have like maybe a little bit of a peppery note when you're just smelling it, but it just smells like a juicy kind of peach, and it just wears really nicely. It's just uplifting, and it's a very fruity scent. So if you don't like super fruity, this smells like a peach. This didn't have a very long lasting power though. It only lasted about 2 to 4 hours. This is definitely one that you'd have to reapply all the time, and that's probably one of the reasons why I haven't worn it as much, is because it has really short longevity. Like I don't mind 4 hours, but this one disappeared really quickly, and I was like, what did I put perfume on today? Because sometimes I forget. And like today I'm filming this, so I didn't put on perfume before because that would be, I don't want it to compete. So I really do like this one. I think it's really nice, but it does have kind of poor longevity, unfortunately. So that is Shay and Blue White Peaches. The next one is a favorite bottle design. Oh, and you probably are going to guess what I chose. I love these high heels from Carolina Herrera. I almost chose Toy from Moschino, but I've already talked about that one, so I was really trying to get ones that I hadn't talked about before. So this is actually Good Girl Supreme, and you can tell that it's a Supreme because it has all of the glitter on it, and it's not a completely glittered shoe like some of the limited edition bottles that they have done. This one, this is my favorite so far in the line. So I feel like this is a really light, creamy floral, like emphasis on the creamy. I find the original Good Girl and Legere just to be a little off-putting. I like them, but they're a little screechy to me, and I feel like this one's much smoother and just a little more well-blended, something that I'm more likely to wear. And of course, the shoe is just absolutely gorgeous. This one has better longevity, not as good as Good Girl. It's not as loud, it's not as long-lasting because it's like a step down, more wearable for me. I put that I got about 4 hours, and that's fine. I feel like that might be a little disingenuous. I sometimes forget to pay attention when I no longer notice it. So I feel like you definitely get 4 to 6 hours, and it's a nice one. I do like, and like I said, I absolutely love the bottle. These bottles are just perfect. The next prompt is a designer fragrance that is underrated. I never hear anybody talk about this, but this is one of my favorite perfumes from 2020. This is Gucci Guilty Love, and oh my gosh, I've worn a lot of this over the past year, and I don't think I've heard anybody else talk about it. I know I've talked about it several times on my channel because I just love it, and that's why I ended up getting Gucci Guilty EDT, and I have the Absolute, and I have EDP on the way. I love this fragrance. It's very different than most of the other fragrances in my collection. It has some depth, but it's also fairly light. It's a bit powdery, but not like super powdery because I don't like powdery. It has a little fruit in it. I feel like it's really fresh. It's so nice. It's feminine, but has like a little edge to it. I really like it. I love the bottle too. Like this blush pink is gorgeous, and I think it's cute. It looks like a little flask. This one I said 4 hours. I probably get 4 to 6 hours on this one. And like I said, I've worn this quite a bit. I got this like the day before lockdown happened where we were. So yeah, this was like the very end of the working day. Macy's was closing. I had coupons, and I was like, I want this perfume. And I was glad because, then they were closed down for weeks and weeks, and I would rather have let one of the gals that worked at Macy's get the commission on it. So yes, I'm very excited about that one. Yeah, really like it. The next prompt was a hyped fragrance that you actually love. And this is one that I actually got it before it got hyped, or before I knew about all of the hype, because it wasn't until lockdown that I really discovered a lot of other people who were doing perfume reviews as well. I only knew of a couple people who were doing perfume reviews before that, and then part of that was a lot of new channels started, so they've been talking about this, but this was one that I had just before that. This is Fiori by Giorgio Armani. This was one that I knew I wanted as soon as it came out. I smelled it in store and I thought it smelled really good, but I was kind of waiting because Influencer had sent me the same size of this in the CP Passione, and I was hoping that they would send me another one, and unfortunately I didn't get it. This is like the 3.4 ounce. Yeah. So this is like the giant bottle. This is it's like fruit and cream. It's so good. I think it has like black currant in it, maybe. I'm trying to remember. It's like berries. So like if you think of berries and cream, but not like strawberries and cream, like really sickly kind of sweet scent. No, this has like some sharpness to it, but it's It smells like it has like whipped cream in it. It's just really well blended. It's sweet, but not like cloying, not sickly sweet. And this one lasts on me 4 to 6 hours. I love this one. I just keep smelling it. I know. It's so good. So I think this one is definitely worth the hype. It is one that I'm very happy that I have, and I have worn it. Not as much as I would like because I have such a huge collection, but it is definitely a good fragrance. Maybe not for this heat of summer, but I am looking forward to wearing it a little bit more in the fall. And again, in the spring, I think it will be good in the winter as well. The next two prompts I kind of goofed on, and I hadn't realized I had already talked about them. So what they were was a hype fragrance, or what they were a house that consistently suits your taste, Juicy Couture, but I think I've talked about all of the Juicy Coutures, so that was an issue. And then day 8 was a perfume you have repurchased. I've already talked about it. Obviously, I can't think of anyone that I haven't talked about that I have repurchased. So I did Dolce by Dolce & Gabbana, and then the other one was Juicy We Glow, which I had already talked about. Then for day 9, the prompt was the best fragrance name. So I went with La Petite Robe Noire, which I love, but I went with one of the flankers. I went with Hippie Chic or Legere. When you look at it, it says Legere, but it also is known as Hippie Chic. So you can call it whatever. I call it Hippie Chic. And I just love the bottle. It has like the little dress in there. I love the bottles. I love the names. This one is so good. If you have tried La Petite Robe Noire, this is like a brighter, juicier cherry. Like you take that cherry and you just like explode it. And that's what this is. This is definitely a sour cherry note. I got 4 to 6 hours from it. It's a sour cherry. It's delightful. I love this one. This is a great summer scent. I think that I would wear this in the winter though too, because it's just so, that cherry is so striking that you can wear it in cooler weather, but it is so fresh that you can wear it in summer weather too. Definitely glad that I have this one. I just love it. The next prompt was, so it is the worst fragrance name, and that is this little guy. It's called the Perfume, the Parfum, and I can't tell. I think that might be the company, and then the name is Heart and Soul, as in Seoul, Korea. I think that's either the name of the company or the name of the perfume. I'm not really sure. I picked this up on HSN because I had birthday money, and this was really cheap. It's a regret. It's not a fragrance that I really enjoy. If I can find the notes for this, I will have them listed. This is the one that I'm not sure I can find notes because it's kind of an unusual, kind of odd duck fragrance. I think it's an odd scent. It's a bit green, a bit blah. This only lasted for about 2 to 4 hours. I should say the Hippie Chic lasts 4 to 6 hours. It's closer to the 6 hour mark though. I don't know. I think maybe if you like Blackberry and Bay, you might like this one. It just has something to it that it's a little off-putting. It's green, it's herbaceous. I'm not a big fan of it. I actually probably should put this in my declutter pile because it's not one that I really like. But and it doesn't last long at all either. So yeah, bummer name, bummer fragrance in my opinion. The next one is a little trickier. It is the best fragrance from a non-European house. And I thought, oh, that's going to be easy. And then I started thinking, wait, Chanel, Versace, Dior. So many of the designer fragrances are from Europe. Karl Lagerfeld, all of those are from Europe. So then I had to think, like, what do I have? What is an American brand or Asian? I guess the Parfum probably would have counted, but I don't. That's like the only Asian fragrance that I have that I know of. So I finally figured it out, and it was, I decided Nest. Nest is a great New York brand, and it says Nest Fragrances New York. I love the bottles on these. They are some of my absolute favorite bottles. I've talked about them so many times. I love the inspiration behind these bottles, and I like the fragrances too, but to be honest, like the bottles are what drew me in the first place. This is Wild Poppy. I think it's very sweet and very pretty. It lasts about 4 to 6 hours. Once again, this is one that would be considered cloying to me though. It is it doesn't really smell flowery unless you're thinking like sweet edible type flowers. There are some florals that are like that, but it's a super sweet fragrance. This is kind of reminiscent of Gucci Flora to me. That's another one that's very cloying that I can only wear at certain times. This is not quite as intense as Gucci Flora, but this is definitely an intense sweet floral fragrance. I don't think you can really tell any specific fruit notes that are in it, but yeah, it's pretty. I like it, but it is definitely not one to wear every day. It's not an everyday fragrance for me. The next one was the Favorite Extrait de Parfum, and I don't have any extraits. I don't do a lot of the more niche houses or the more expensive fragrances. Mine are moderately priced. I try not to have anything in my collection. Like, I don't buy any bottles that are over $100, and I get almost all of my fragrances on sale or some sort of deal. Like, I can't think of anyone that I've just outright bought for no reason and paid full price. Like, that's not how I buy perfumes. So this is an intense version. I decided to do Idôle Intense by Lancôme. I have the original one as well, and this one smells different. I think they're different enough that you could get both, but if I was going to say, I would actually go with the original. Just gonna say. So this one, I said it's stronger than the original. It's clean. It's not quite as bright. I feel like the other one has a more bright, juicy note to it. This smells a little, not quite cleanery, but it definitely smells more like soap. It's more of a soapy scent. The bottle is opaque on one side, and then you can see through it on the other side. It does have the indentation here, so you can hold it, and it is, very thin as well. I like this one, and I will wear this quite a bit. I think this is a good, like, everyday scent. You can wear this. It's not going to be offensive to anyone, but it's not quite as good as the original to me. If I was going to choose, I would choose the original. So that's my intense versus extrait. The next one is a fragrance that has poor longevity that you like. So I decided to go with Lolita Lempicka. So sweet. And this is the original formulation. I also have the new formulation that's gone vegan and cruelty free. And there's been talk on whether the new formulation lasts as long as the old one. So that's why I picked up this one, and I have a comparison video that I'm planning to get out at some point. So I decided this was a good time to wear this for the first time. They both have poor longevity. Just spoiler alert on that video. I'll talk more about it later on in differences and stuff. But yeah, unfortunately, this is like 2 to 3 hours tops for me. It smells so good though. It's such a juicy cherry scent, just delicious. Really bright, sweet, fun. What else did I put about it? It's a delicious sweet cherry. That's all I wrote. Yeah, so poor longevity, unfortunately, but if you want a fun fragrance that just is like uplifting and sweet, that is So Sweet by Lolita Lempicka, or Lempicka. The next one is a fragrance that your parent or caregiver wore. My mom was super allergic to perfumes when I was growing up, so we didn't go to the perfume counter. Like, my dad and I used to go, and we'd smell everything, and we'd get back to the car, and she'd be like, I can't breathe because you smelled everything. We didn't spray anything. We just sniffed them. Anyway, in the 90s, the perfumes were way stronger. Like, if you think about some of the perfumes, I even think about some of the ones that I smell, and I'm like, I can't, they're too much. They're too much going on. I kind of get what she was going through. Luckily, like, a lot of my fragrance, I think that's probably part of the reason my fragrance choices are the way they are, is because of things that I know won't cause a reaction to her as well. Anyway, I decided to choose one that was something that was kind of iconic for my childhood and something that I had always wanted. I remember, seeing it in stores, seeing advertisements for it, and that is Ex'cla-ma'tion by, I think it's just by Coty. It has like the little words on it, which I just think is funny. So an iconic fragrance of the 90s for sure. I think it's a very pleasant, very sweet powder. It's pretty strong still, but it's not, it's a fresher, younger perfume like from that time period. I think it's very much a product of its time, but it's still modern enough that I would wear this and enjoy it. So I got 4 to 6 hours on it. I think it has some pretty good projection on it. I mean, obviously I don't know if other people can smell me or not, but I really do like this one. I think it's really fun. And yeah, it's a powdery, sweet, but kind of a strong for a powdery fragrance, but not so sickly sweet powdery, because some of the powdery scents that I have or have smelled, they make me a bit ill. Next one is one that transports you to a different place. So I chose Philosophy Fresh Cream, and the reason I did this is it smells like going into an ice cream shop. Not just like Baskin Robbins or anything, but one that like actually makes like the waffle cones and stuff or other things. Their Cold Stone Creamery kind of has that smell, like it's just that sweet smell that you kind of hits you as you go into the store. There's a place, and I'm not sure how like widespread they are, but I've been to a couple of them, and it's called Goodies, and that's what it really smells like to me. Oh my gosh, that place smells amazing. So that's what I get with this. This is just a little half ounce size, so it's pretty tiny. I love this smell though. It's just fresh cream. It's a vanilla, like a sweet vanilla scent. It's really nice. I get about 4 hours longevity on it, so it has a pretty good longevity for how simplistic it is. If you have not already subscribed or liked or commented, please do consider doing any or all of those things. It really does help out small YouTubers. And yeah, some of these videos are a lot of work. So knowing that you're here and watching and enjoying means so very much to us. The next prompt was one that you love that was made pre-2000. And this one was made in 1999, so just barely pre-2000, but it is, I feel like, pretty iconic nowadays. It is J'adore by Dior, and I just got this holiday 2019, so it's pretty new to my collection compared to some of the other fragrances that I have. This smells so good. I really like it. It is a just bright white floral. It just has so much presence to it, but it's really just beautiful too. I think it's really sophisticated. It smells kind of clean though. So if you're wearing it, you're going to have, like, it's going to project, it's going to last. Like this one is definitely one of my 8-hour plus fragrances. You're going to smell it for a long time. Other people are going to smell it, I'm pretty sure, but it's not going to be overwhelming or like off-putting, I don't feel. It has, you know, it's beautiful, it's feminine, but it's not in your face. It's kind of clean at the same time. I think it's so nice. I really, really do enjoy this one. The next one is one that you wear, but many people seem to hate. And there's a lot of fragrances that seem more simplistic that people in the fragrance community kind of tend to put down, or, you know, I've heard, not that I've watched these people, but I've heard that they've said that things are basic or other derogatory terms about different fragrances. So this is one that I think is beautiful and I love, but I've heard other people just kind of bash because it's boring and uninventive or whatever. And that is Chanel Gabrielle Essence. I think this one is beautiful. It's clean. It's a beautiful floral. It lasts definitely 6 to 8 hours. It's so pretty. This is like classic and elegant and just really pretty. I feel like this is a good one. If you just want a signature type scent, I think this is a good one. It's not, I don't know. I don't want people to smell me and be like, what is that? Or have a fragrance that's challenging. Like, that's not why I wear perfume. Perfume boosts my mood. It is like an extension of my personality. And I don't know. I don't want to be the type of person that's seen as challenging. Not that I don't have a personality or anything, but I don't want to be the person that walks in the room and people are like, what is up with them? I'm not that type of a person. Anyway, Gabrielle Essence, I really like this one. I kind of want the original one too, but I smelled them side by side, and this one went out just a little bit over the original Gabrielle. I think it's beautiful. I think it's a good one. It's one I would definitely recommend. All right, the next one is a perfume with positive scent memories, and I don't know, like, I can't think of a perfume that I actually have that is like, oh, that I have a specific scent memory. There are certain like shampoos and stuff that I smell and I remember different things. But like I said, perfume wasn't really part of my childhood, so it's not like I have any of those. I've only started collecting perfume probably about 10 or so years ago, maybe a little longer than that. I started with Harajuku lovers because they were so darn cute. They look like little dolls, and I love Gwen Stefani. So, my perfume collection has grown a lot since I started, but it's not like, I don't know if that makes sense. Anyway, so I decided to think of a scent note that had memories attached to it. So I thought of rhubarb because I was very close to my grandfather growing up. He always had huge gardens. He had a place with a couple different areas where things grew. He had, grape bushes and blackberry bushes, grapevines, blackberry bushes, rhubarb growing, strawberries growing all over the place, apricot trees, everything, like nice sized property. And it was just, we were very close. My grandmother, his wife, died when I was 6. So we're over there a lot to kind of check up on him and make sure he was doing okay. So rhubarb was something that I always was like, what? And then when I grew up, I really appreciate it. I really like rhubarb. Strawberry rhubarb tart is delicious. And so when I think of rhubarb, I think of him. And I chose Tangy Rhubarb Cologne by Jo Malone. And this one, it has like the little rhubarb on the top. It's so cute. And it smells like, it's kind of green, which there is the green to the rhubarb. That's the leaf part. And then you have the stalks, which are kind of tangy. And I think this captures it quite well. So that is my scent memory. This one, Jo Malone fragrances, not that I've tried a lot of them. This was actually my first Jo Malone. I get about maybe 3 hours. So I know that they don't have a lot of lasting power, which is a disappointment. But one, I loved the collection that they did with these bottles. They're supposed to look like jam. And one of the things we did with my grandpa, like all the apricots, is we made jam every year. We did lots of canning. So it reminded me of that as well. So I think this is sharp, tangy, fruity, green. It's well-rounded. I think it's it's similar in some ways with the greenery to that Parfum that I talked about earlier on, but this one is definitely more my speed because it does have that prominent rhubarb in it. Next is a perfume that you think is overrated. So this one is probably going to get me in a little trouble because I know some of my friends here really like this one. It's just not my favorite. I don't think it's terrible, but I don't know. I don't love it as much as everybody else does. And that is Chloe Nomad. I think the bottle is pretty. Yeah, I've left the plastic on it because I don't want it to get, I do that quite frequently actually. So I like the bottle design. I think it's cute. I just don't love that oak moss. It's a little too woody and hippie-ish to me. So it's pretty, but it's not one that I really am going to reach for or really enjoy wearing. So that's the one that I think is overrated. Let me tell you my notes on it. I said earthy, sweet. It's too woody. It lasts for 6 hours. 6 hours plus. Like, this is one that's going to have pretty good lasting power, which I know some people really like, and that's what they base their reviews on. I'm more about how the scent wears on my skin and how I like it on my skin, no matter how long it lasts. Yeah, just a little too woody. Not my favorite. Not one that I would not one that I really wear a lot unless I'm doing like some sort of a challenge or I'm trying to test it out. The next one is fave perfume with a note that you dislike, and one that I really just don't like. And everything that I have smelled is leather. That is not a note that I like. Even though I love La Petite Robe Noire, the Black Perfecto, all I get is that leather, and it just kind of it makes me feel a little ill, I guess is the best way to put it. The only perfume that I can think of that has leather in it that I actually like is Rebecca Minkoff. This is not talked about like a ton, but this is a really nice fragrance. I think it's classy, smooth, kind of sweet. It lasts about 4 hours on my skin. Yeah, it's kind of cream, not creamy like some of the other ones. It's just well blended. Has some pretty florals in it, some pretty fruit notes in it. It's just really nice. It's classy. It's just like, I think this would be another good one that you could wear at the office. It's not going to be obtrusive. It's not going to be obnoxious to anyone. I like it. It's a nice one. So that one, Rebecca Minkoff. The next one is a fragrance that you like that has not been hyped on YouTube. I don't think I've heard anybody talk about this. I mean, some of these fragrances I don't hear a lot about at all. But I decided to talk about Calvin Klein Euphoria Blush. This is the only Calvin Klein in my collection. I have like some samples. I have a couple minis, but just as a whole, the brand has been a bit too unisex for my taste, or I don't know, just everything that I've smelled isn't like stuff that I'm really crazy about, which is funny because my best friend loves the original Euphoria and I'm always like, too much. This one is a definite fruity floral. Emphasis on the fruity. It's berry, it's sweet, it's fruity. It lasts 3 to 4 hours, so not the best longevity, probably because it is so fruity, but it smells so different from some of the other Calvin Klein Euphorias and Calvin Klein fragrances that I've tested. I mean, obviously I haven't tested all of them, but yeah, this is one that I really like. I got a sample of it through influencer that were like, they wanted me to test it for review, just a little tiny one. And it was like, I need that fragrance in my collection. So sought it out, looked for a deal, got it finally. So yeah, this one, it came out in 2019, 2020. It's a newer fragrance on the market for Calvin Klein. The next prompt was a classic fragrance, and I was trying to think, you know, there's some that are very old, Chanel No. 5, Shalimar, and I mean, this is starting at end of June, early July, starting to get kind of hot. Don't really want to wear those in the heat. So I went with one that came out in the 90s, I'm pretty sure. Ralph by Ralph Lauren. There we go. This is one that I remember wanting so bad back in the day, like right around when I was in college. I used to do pageants, and we would get like one of the pageants, we got like a little goodie bag of samples from Macy's, and this fragrance is in it. I still own the fragrance because it was like shaped like a butterfly with the little vial in the middle. I loved it. It smelled so good. And ever since then, I wanted this fragrance. It is sweet, fresh, kind of a classic, just clean, fruity, fresh scent. I really like it. It lasts 3 to 4 hours on me as well. Just, it's really nice. So I decided it's made it into the realm of a classic, and yeah, I do like it. I think it's a nice scent. The next prompt, a reformulation that you don't mind. Honestly, so many of these reformulations that I'm hearing about were before my time with perfume, and I don't go back and buy vintage bottles usually, other than like the Lolita Lempicka that I talked about, just because I was curious about that. But you know, the original Alien, haven't smelled original Angel. Some of the other ones, there's a little hoopla around in the fragrance community. I haven't smelled them, but I even have smelled the newer one. So this is one that I've heard has been reformulated, and I like this, but I don't know what the original one smelled like, so I don't have something to compare it to. It is Armani Code. It's kind of another classic. It's been around for quite a while. I think this is a really smooth but spicy gourmand. It definitely has, like, there's the spice in there. The flowers have a little bit of sharpness to them. They're not just, you know, background or sweet, you know, background players. They have a bit of a bite to them, even though I would say it's a smooth formula, like it's well blended. I like this. I think it's interesting. I think it's different. It's not one that I probably would wear continuing here through the heat. It's just a little too much for that, but this is like a good fall and spring scent to me. I get about 4 hours on it, and yeah, I think it's nice. But then again, I don't know what the reformulation was. Some of these were hard because I was like, I had to improv a little bit. The next one is one that you wear on a casual hot day. And ironically, when this popped up, we had a cold spell. So it was actually not as hot as some of the other days that we had previous to that. But I chose Irresistible by Givenchy. I think it is so pretty. I love the bottle. I love the way that they cut the glass. It's very, very nice. This one on me lasts 3 to 4 hours, so it's not like a super heavy, super long lasting fragrance, which is kind of what I want on a hot day. I want something that's just going to be kind of refreshing and sweet, but not overly sweet. I think this one is very sparkling. It almost smells like bubbly, fizzy to me. It's sweet, it's fresh. I think it has pear in it, and while it doesn't smell like a juicy pear, like I'm still searching for that type of a scent, it smells almost like champagne, just very bubbly and nice. I really like this one, so I think this is a good one for a hot day. And like I said, it's not going to last too long. It's not going to like wear on you, because I find that with super hot days, if you have a fragrance that lasts and lasts and lasts, it starts kind of feeling suffocating to me. I want to be able to like switch out and not have that constant smell coming at me. The next one is a discontinued fragrance that you wish would come back. I chose one from the Viktor and Rolf Magic line. Dancing Roses was one I was going to wear, and then I was like, no, it is too hot today to wear it. It was too much. So I chose Liquid Diamonds instead. I think this line was so good, and I'm so sad that they discontinued it, although I'm really glad that I got this guy for half price, and Dancing Roses for half price, and Salty Flower for half price, and the Discovery set for half price, because they were too expensive. Like, too expensive for me. This is a bright, soapy, uplifting fragrance. It lasts about 4 to 6 hours on me. It's so clean. It's so pretty and so, I don't know, energizing, but it smells clean. It smells kind of like a shampoo, but like the best shampoo ever. Yeah, I really love this. I love the bottles. I love that they have the little bubbles in the glass. I think they did just a lovely job on them, and yeah, I'm really sad that this line is discontinued, and I'm really glad that I have so many of them in my collection. The next one was the strongest perfume in your collection, and I chose Gucci Flora, which I've already talked about, but it lasts forever. It's so cloying. It's so like in your face and over the top. That's why I chose it. The next prompt was a perfume that soothes you. And I was thinking, like, there's a lot of different fragrances that kind of have that just calm, comforting. I feel like aquatics are really comforting. That's what I spray my bed with, an aquatic perfume every night. My pillows, just like 2 sprays on each pillow. And it just really helps like calm me, get me in the mood for sleep. I just really like those, which is, I'm going to have to re-buy some things. That's also part of the reason why I went through Dolce so fast, because that was just like a calm, soothing scent. But I've already talked about a lot of those. So I decided to go a little out of the popular realm, and I decided to go with DefineMe. This is their scent Ariel in collaboration with Disney. It has the mermaid tail on it. It's like wrapped around. It's really pretty. It has the seashell top. This is very aquatic, bit saltier and almost a little sunscreeny in there too. Not as just straight aquatic as like Aqua de Joya. This has a little bit more to it. I think it is really pretty. I like the suntan, but it's not over suntan, because some of the suntan scents that I've heard people talk about just are too much for me. I think this one is really nice. I love the bottle. Let's see. I get about 6 hours. It has some light florals in it. That's probably that sun-tanny fragrance that I'm getting. So yeah, I think it's nice. I like it. Yeah. The next prompt was a complex fragrance that you like. So I chose Hermes. This is my only Hermes. This is Un Jardin sur la Lagoon. And it's like the lagoon in the garden, basically. This is aquatic, but kind of murky and has like earthy notes to it. So if you think of like almost, I don't know, like a bog. I've never had a bog, but I feel like the only lakes and beaches I've been to have been with lakes, like freshwater lakes. And I feel like this kind of captures that. You got some of the water, but it's kind of murky because there's lots of wildlife around there. There's lots of vegetation, and I feel like this captures it really well. It's not an everyday scent for me. It's definitely like you have to be in the mood. You have to feel a little bit more contemplative, I believe. Like this is not something that's energizing or a fun scent or that's going to like make you feel better about your day. This is one of those days where you're just kind of like, I just need to be mellow. I need something like that. So I like this one. It lasts a good 6 hours on me, 6+ hours. It's interesting. I would like to smell the other ones in the line now because I'm kind of curious about them. This one I ended up finding at Marshall's, so that's why I have it, because Hermes is very expensive. The next prompt is a simple minimalistic fragrance that you like. I went with Mandarin Basilic by Guerlain. I love Guerlain. It's one of my favorite houses. This is orange with some green. So you get a little bit of that basil, but it's not like a super heavy basil. It's more like a very young basil, I would say. And it's a lot of oranges, a lot of orange juice, just nice and juicy and bright, and it's uplifting. It doesn't last like terribly long. That's the one problem with it. I can get 4 hours out of it if I spray heavily, and that's what I usually do. It does have the little bee on the top, which I didn't even notice before, but I was just watching somebody's video. Let's see if I can. No, you can kind of see it. And they mentioned the bee, and I was like, I didn't even notice that before. So I really like this one. If you want just an uplifting, bright summer scent, that's this one. I love it. It's so good. It's probably my favorite in the Aqua Allegoria, but I haven't smelled a lot of them, but the ones I've smelled, this is my favorite. The last prompt is one that best suits your personality. Don't worry, I still have some more scents, the ones that I skipped over. I have replacements for. So I decided to go with Viktor and Rolf Bonbon. I love the Bonbon line, and it's just sweet. Instead of the regular Bonbon though, which can be, very caramely and a little darker, I guess, but still like really heavy sweet, I went with the Spring Summer. This is the 2018 version. I'm not sure if it's different than the other version of Spring Summer, but oh my gosh. So good. I've talked about, you've probably seen my Instagram post on this one if you follow me on Instagram. So I say this lasts me a good 4 to 6 hours. It's really uplifting. It's a very sweet, fruity fragrance. I really like it. It's not quite as caramel and heavy as the original. Definitely more of a spring summer version of it. It's lovely. I love it. So yeah, that is the last one from the actual prompts. All in all, there was 4 fragrances that I used it for the challenge that I had already talked about in one of these 30 and 30s. So I decided to pull out 4 other ones to finish out the challenge and do 30 to talk to you about here. So the first one I have is Girl of Now Shine. This one lasts 6 to 7 hours very easily. It is it's sharp. That raspberry in there is a very sharp raspberry. It also feels like it has kind of a lemony undertone, which can make it feel a little cleanery, like not clean, but like a lemon cleaner kind of scent. I don't not like it, but it is a bit much. This is definitely one that I would be very careful with the sprays on, because if you spray even one spray too much, it just kind of feels a little overwhelming. I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of it. So I said it was sweet and sharp and bright, which it was all of those things. But as it wore on. I was a little like, okay, I need to be done with this. I need something that's not so in your face, not quite so screechy. I feel like it was kind of screechy with that like citrus. I swear it has like a lemon, or the raspberry takes on that kind of lemony type scent to it. It's nice, but I prefer the original to this one for sure. Then we have the exact opposite. This is from the Joe Loves collection with Zara. She did the Zara Emotions, and these were like for juveniles, I guess. Not the kids collection, not the women's collection. This doesn't have very good lasting power. 3 hours. I oversprayed this one though, because I was like, I know it's not going to last. So I sprayed extra on it. This is an EDT, so keep that in mind. This is Cherry Watermelon Ice. It is not really a cherry scent. Like maybe just the essence of a cherry. Like if you're drinking a bottled water that has like a fruit essence in it, that's like how you get the cherry. This is definitely more watermelon, but almost a little green of the watermelon, more of the rind, not like the very center of the watermelon. It's more the outer edges of the watermelon. It's very refreshing. It smells kind of cold, so that ice like really makes sense with it. I really did like it. It's very faint. It's kind of aquatic with that like iciness to it. It's a little sweet. This is if you just want a skin scent that's just, you're going to smell and just kind of mellow, but just kind of nice. I like this one. Yeah, this is definitely not the strongest from the Emotions line, but this one is nice. And I wish, one, that it was larger, and two, well, and I have little floaties in it. I don't know if you can see all the little floaties in it. I don't know how I got floaties in it, but that's weird. Yeah, I wish it was larger and it lasted longer. Continuing on that watermelon streak, I next wore Dolce & Gabbana 3 Imperatrice, and this one, I don't think they have the 3 on it anymore. You can find this on retailers, and it's going to be, like $90, $100, something very expensive. But you can also find, I got this one from Zulily for like $30, and I know that it's on Fragrance Net, and there's a lot of discount retailers that have it. So don't pay full price. Go to a discount retailer for this one because it has been out for the longest time. It lasted 4 to 6 hours, but I sprayed a lot because I know this is one that doesn't have the best lasting power either. This one is one that on initial smell, I was like, I'm decluttering this. I don't like it. Wearing it, I like it a little bit more. It's sour. It has a sourness to it. And it's not like a puckery sour. And it's not like a rotten... it's hard to describe. It's not like unripe fruit. It's not like overwrought, ripe, rotting fruit. And it's not like a puckery one that's like an artificial fruit. There's just something kind of sour in it. And it does settle it down after a while, but that's what I initially get, is I get like this sour fruit, and it's kind of off-putting to me. As it wears down, settles in, it smells nicer. You get a little bit of the watermelon, but it's not an overly sweet, fruity scent. It's definitely a fruity scent. Like this is going to be fruit all the way. So it's not an overly sweet one. You get a little bit of that watermelon, and I think it has rhubarb and kiwi in it. It's weird. It's unlike anything else I have. It has grown on me. It is one that I will continue wearing, but it's definitely like it takes a little getting used to. And oh my gosh, the bottle is so heavy, and like the cap is super heavy too. But yeah, 3 Imperatrice by Dolce & Gabbana. The last fragrance that I have is my biggest disappointment of the whole lot. It was one that I searched for, and it took me forever to finally get. And now they've gone down in price, which irritates me to no end, because this I think was $55, and now on sites it's $40. And I've seen, not this particular one, but I've seen the other ones in this line for $25 at Walmart. So if you have a Walmart, you can go get some of these. luckily I bought it for the box, the container. This is Eau de Juice. They're made by Cosmopolitan. Yes, the magazine. And this is Good Energy. It is the orange one, which when it got close, it looked very yellow. Darling packaging. And this is probably like on a first sniff, my favorite of them because it's the sweetest of all of them. This is it's an orange. It's an orange scent. It just smells like orange. Slightly artificial orange, but orange nonetheless. It's very sweet, but that's it. It smells like orange. And then it lasts less than 2 hours and it's gone. So yeah, I was like, okay, am I going to get something else from it? Is it going to develop? Is it going to last long? No, none of those things. Just kind of like maybe almost like an orange tang. It smells a little bit like tang. Like if you just sprayed tang on yourself and less than 2 hours later, it was gone. That's it. So that is all of my fragrances. Lots of them, 30 and 30. These are always long videos. Like I said, I hope that I will have all of the notes listed on screen. If not, they will be listed down below because it's easier to cut and paste than actually type them in because I edit on my phone because that's where I film. And yeah. Anyway, I hope you are all having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for stopping by. Let me know if you have tried any of these fragrances, what your thoughts and opinions are on them, and things that you would like to see me talk about in terms of fragrance in the near future. That's it. I'll talk to you guys next time.